Good morning, dear students in grade 10 Al Mujtama Private School. How are you? How's everything with you? Our lesson today is listening and speaking. But first of all, let me present our value for this week, which is, I know that you know, altruism. First of all, let's start our lesson. Look at the picture about an aeroplane crash and describe it. Pause the video and write in your own notebook. Our first objective is to identify specific information in a listening task about aeroplane crash by choosing the correct answers after listening to the radio interview. Exercise C, page number 23. Exercise A. Have you ever heard any stories of people surviving a plane crash? If yes, what happened? You can write. Exercise B. Listen to a radio interview and choose the correct newspaper headline.
C. Listen again and answer the questions. Good evening. 3 years ago, a young man survived an aeroplane crash and then lived 10 days in the jungle before he was rescued. It's an incredible story, and here to tell it is the man himself, Conrad Mendez.
Hello, it's good to be here.
So, Conrad, tell us your story. You were on the plane to Peru, right?
Right. You see, my father, who is from the States, is a zoologist and spends most of his time in Peru. That's where he met my mother. She is actually from Brazil, and I was flying from Rio to meet my father when the accident happened, somewhere over the Bolivian rainforest.
So, what happened to the plane?
We were flying through a terrible storm. There was a lot of turbulence and I couldn't see outside. It was so dark. Suddenly, I saw a flash of lightning, and then the wing caught fire. Within minutes, it broke apart and the plane started going down. As you can imagine, I was terrified. Suddenly, I realized I was not on the plane anymore, and I was flying down towards the jungle, still strapped to my seat. I thought I was going to die. What are the chances of surviving a plane crash, right? But I did. Luckily, the trees are very thick in that part of the rainforest, and they broke my fall. Also, I was falling backwards, so my injuries weren't that bad. I just had a broken collarbone and a bad cut on my arm.
That's amazing. But then you still had to deal with the jungle.
I wasn't too scared of that. I've spent a lot of time in the jungle with my father, and I recognize the dangers. My first thought was to find other passengers, but I was unsuccessful. In fact, I couldn't find any survivors, or even the plane. They must have been miles away.
What about food or water?
I came across a river, so at least I had water to drink. As for food, I was able to find some fruit in the jungle. But after a few days, I was really weak. I was starting to give up hope when I heard rescue helicopters overhead. They were looking for the plane, I imagined, but the trees were so thick that they couldn't see me, so I wasn't rescued then. The following day, I decided to follow the river as far as I could. I thought that maybe I could find a village or something. A few miles down the river, I spotted a boat and decided to wait there. Later that day, 2 fishermen found me unconscious but alive by their boat.
Where did they take you?
They took me to the nearest hospital, which was 7 hours away. There I found out that out of the 87 passengers on the plane, I was one of the lucky survivors, along with 8 other people. Amazingly, they had survived the crash too, but they were all badly injured and only lasted a couple of days. In the end, I was the only survivor.
That's just terrible. Have you been back there since?
Actually, I'm going back for the first time next month, as part of a documentary Channel 5 is making. I'm going to visit the site of the plane crash and meet up with the fisherman who saved me. It's strange, because it was such a terrifying experience for me, but for some reason, I can't wait to return. It's a part of my life that I just can't forget.
Well, it's a fascinating story, that's for sure. Now we're going to...
Hello again. Listen to a radio interview and choose the correct newspaper headline. And now your turn. What have you chosen? Yes, great. Jungle plane crash survivor discovered. And now exercise so you can listen to the audio again. But first of all, read the questions with the given answers, then listen to the audio, then answer immediately, then come back to me to check your answers. Now, let me check. Question 1. Where did the plane crash? Excellent, in Brazil. Question 2. Why did the plane crash? A. The engine caught fire. 3. What was the first thing Conrad found? A river. Excellent. 4. Who found Conrad? A rescue boat. 5. How many people initially survived the plane crash? Excellent. 9. And finally, how does Conrad feel about going back to the crash site? Excellent, dear. He's excited. Now let's move to another exercise, which is speaking. And our second objective here to act out a dialogue about a bus crash using the given questions. First of all, go to the word list or even the dictionaries and look for and identify the meaning of these words. Snowstorm, skid, lose control, panic, helpless, break windows, and ambulance. In exercise A speaking, what is the text about? Bus crashes into shop window. It can be an accident. Excellent. Great. What will you do if you see an accident? Will you escape? Will you run away? Now imagine that you were an eyewitness to the accident and you are telling your friends what happened. Summarize the event using information in the news article in your imagination. Think about the following questions and use some of the words in the box below. Where were you and what were you doing? What was the weather like? What exactly happened? What did you think when you first saw the accident? How were the people rescued? And what do you think caused the accident? Think and answer these questions and put your answers as paragraphs. Here, in page number 72, act out the dialogue. Where were you and what were you doing? Put your answer. What was the weather like? And put your answer. And so on till the end of the exercise. Now it's your turn to mention some accidents you saw and where. Write in on your notebooks. And let me check in the classroom. It's time to close the lesson, read the sentences and choose the correct answer. These plants cannot, excellent, survive in very cold conditions. The lifeboat rescued the sailors from the sinking boat. Many plant and animal species are found only in the rainforest. Excellent, yes. Now I will say goodbye to you and see you next lesson, inshallah.